Do you get overwhelmed by other people's emotions or energies? Today we're looking at the journey of being an empath, something that still surprises me as to how many people I meet that this is relevant to. And of course, it's not a simple yes or no type situation. There's an entire spectrum, an ongoing journey with which we're all at different parts. And this got me thinking, perhaps I could share some of the many stages or phases that I remember going through to perhaps speed up your journey, somebody else's journey. I wish I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, that's for sure. So let's start with where a lot of empaths begin, often without realizing it. This stage I call unconscious absorption. And at this stage, you are a sponge. You are a sponge, just soaking up the energy of everybody around you, feeling what they're feeling without realizing that those feelings aren't your own. You might have sudden mood changes or unexplainable anxiety, and if you feel it as strongly as I did, physical symptoms from feeling somebody else's feelings. I mean, that's crazy, huh? Also, crowded places or certain people leave you feeling completely drained, but you can't figure out why. The world's emotions become yours. A confusing and overwhelming experience can feel like you're constantly struggling against something that you can't even see, never really understanding why you're feeling these things so strongly. And often in this stage, you develop a deep sense of being different or out of sync with other people. This constant influx of external emotions can make it difficult for you to connect with your own authentic feelings, the ones that actually originate with you. And as things begin to get more intense, often triggered by big emotional events or repeated exposure to really strong feelings, you might move into a phase called growing awareness. Pretty self-explanatory, that one. Here you begin to notice a connection. You start to see patterns, maybe feeling really low after talking to a specific friend or person, maybe feeling very anxious when going to a specific place. The randomness of your feelings starts to link with what's happening around you. This can be extremely confusing. You're full of questions. You start wondering why nobody else around me is feeling this. What's wrong with me? It's the beginning of understanding that you're picking up on more than just your own feelings. This initial awareness can be very unsettling. It challenges all of your previously held beliefs about the origin of your emotions. And I remember I started to observe other people's emotional states more intently, trying to decipher this newly discovered potential link. Let's move on to one of the next stages, overwhelming identification. Once you realize that you're feeling other people's emotions, you might start to really take them on as your own. You might feel like you have to fix their problems or carry their pain, making it even harder to tell your feelings apart from theirs. This path leads to just total burnout, feeling resentful, feeling responsible for everybody else's happiness. The world's problems feel like they're all on you. And unfortunately, you might forget to take care of yourself because you're so focused on others. This stage can really feel hopeless, like a burden that you cannot escape. The desire to alleviate the suffering of others can become so strong that personal boundaries completely dissolve. And this can result in really neglecting your own emotional, psychological, and even physical needs in an attempt to absorb or transmute or change or take away the pain of those around you. This intense period often pushes you into the important stage of seeking understanding and tools. The feeling of being overwhelmed becomes so strong, you finally decide you really want things to change. You start looking up terms like empath, just searching, and you realize that you're not alone. Other people experience this too. Maybe there isn't anything wrong with me. Maybe I'm not losing my mind. This is a turning point where you actively look for information, for ways to cope, for strategies to handle your sensitivity, I guess. You start learning about things like grounding techniques or how to protect your energy and why setting boundaries is so important. This stage is about actively really trying to understand and manage what you're feeling. And I remember actually a massive sense of relief in discovering that there's a name for what you're experiencing and other people are experiencing it too, and that there are strategies to navigate it. This newfound knowledge can bring a glimmer of hope that things can improve. This journey then moves on to the tough but essential stage of boundary setting and self-care. This is where you actually start putting into practice all the different things you've been learning about, bringing them into your actual world, into your 3D reality, learning to say no, creating healthy boundaries, making your own needs a priority. This can be really hard, especially if you're used to just absorbing all this energy from others and then just kind of going along with it. You might feel guilty, you might worry about disappointing people, you might face resistance from those who are used to you just being emotionally available to them whenever they need it. This stage takes courage and commitment to your own well-being. And initially, actually setting these boundaries is going to feel maybe really awkward, or you might feel selfish, but with practice, it becomes necessary. It's a necessary act of self-preservation, a way to honor your own energetic needs, which we all have. Learning to prioritize self-care becomes non-negotiable. Remember that. Non-negotiable if you want to maintain any kind of balance in your life. And as you get better at managing your energy and identifying and setting those boundaries, you might move on to a stage called empowered empathy. Sounds pretty good, right? This is where you learn to feel other people's emotions without being completely taken over by them. You develop the ability to tell what's yours and what's theirs, or maybe what's theirs. You can still offer support and understanding without taking on their pain as your own. Your empathy becomes a way to connect and to understand rather than something that makes you suffer. You start to see the positive side of your heightened sensitivity while still having and maintaining a strong and solid sense of yourself. In this stage, you begin to recognize the valuable insights that your empathy provides without that overwhelming burden that you felt in the past. You can offer a listening ear, a compassionate presence, while maintaining your own energetic integrity. Now let's look at one of the potential end goals. I'll call it empathic freedom and wisdom. At this point, you've really integrated your empathic abilities into who you are. You understand these heightened sensitivities and you have good boundaries in place, and you can move through the world feeling grounded and strong. You can use your empathy intentionally, offering help and understanding without losing yourself. You've turned what once felt like a gigantic problem into an amazing source of intuition, of kindness, of connection. You're no longer controlled by outside energies, and as someone who can navigate the emotional world much better than most people, with awareness and with strength, your empathy becomes a source of wisdom and a powerful tool for positive connection, and without wishing to sound over the top, a real actual difference and contribution to the world. What an amazing difference from where we started, and it's possible. I promise you. So the path of an empath is certainly a unique one, and one that I don't think you can fully understand unless you've experienced it. It can be challenging, but there is a way towards more freedom and strength. If you recognize yourself in any of these stages, or any stage at all really, and there's one thing you take away from this video, you are not alone. You're not alone. And with that said, what stage do you feel you're at right now with your own empathic journey? Share in the comments below. And if this video made you think, please subscribe. It makes a massive difference. And as usual, thank you for watching. And until then, I will see you next time.